Chris, and this is my removing a fuel tank out of a 1999 Chevrolet P30 chassis. As you can see, this is a massive gas tank. It's almost 2 feet wide, 3 feet long. No telling how much it weighs, and I have no idea if it has gas in it or not. All right, so before you mess with the fuel pump or anything like that, you always unhook your battery, take negative side off. Make sure you do that 100%. So you see those two massive 1/4-inch straps. We got to undo both of those double nuts on there. It has 2 on each side. So identify where the fill line is. You have 2 lines. Notice they're sitting right there on the frame. So if we start to drop this tank, we're gonna screw everything up. So we have to get those 2 rubber lines out completely, pulled out. So notice on this one we have a chassis ground going to the body of the tank. This tank is 16th inch steel. It's super massive. So let me go ahead and get these 2 lines off. Super difficult, you already know that. All right, we're not filming everything in here because this is a frustrating job and it's a dangerous job. We have a transmission jack with a board under the 2 straps. I've taken all the nuts off of the straps. You can see we dropped the tank down a little bit. Remember that filler neck is now hitting the frame, and the tank is almost full of gas. I can't tell 100%. All right, I'm filming with the fan on. Sorry, it's 100 degrees here in Houston, Texas. So we got the tank dropped down, and it will hang up right here. You can see now it's not as heavy as I thought it was. Got it out from under there, and we just kind of pulled that line out. So let's go ahead and siphon the rest of the gas. We didn't show it earlier because you couldn't see anything. And then the bulb side to the tank. Put your thumb on one side and you squeeze a little bulb, and then it creates a vacuum and it'll just start pulling it. And with only one squish, it's actually flowing really slow. But that's the problem with this one, is it's that little bitty tiny line, and we've already filled it up like that in 15 minutes. So it's going to take a while, but let's go ahead and get the rest of the gas out before we even try to remove anything. We can take a peek up in there. We're not going to show any of this, but I'm just going to drop the tank and unhook everything up there, and we'll look at it once I get the tank out because I need to inspect the inside. So I went ahead and drug the tank out. Let's get that sending unit off. So you're going to need a quick disconnect tool. Any brand works. These have a 4-prong stainless clip that can be very, very difficult to get off because it'll dig into this plastic. Okay, we didn't show it because it was very frustrating and I could not get this one off. You have to wrap it around, push it in there like that. Sometimes you can wiggle it, and they usually just come right off. But this one took me 1 hour, 1 whole hour, because the stainless clip was screwed up. So in this style, it has a little lock ring. You don't need a special tool for this. Just gonna try to pry it out. Okay. Well, this one's trash, so we can go ahead and pry on it. Doesn't matter. Okay, it's gonna be spring loaded. So in case you don't know, the little pump comes out, and this can be replaced for under $50. The problem is, how many miles does your vehicle have on it, and does your gas gauge work? If your gas gauge works perfect, you might want to go ahead and just change the pump out. I've done that before, but on this one, our gas gauge does not work at all. So we have to go ahead and change out the whole entire unit. So it has 2 little tiny brushes in there. You can see after so many years, they get tired and may not make contact anymore. So this whole thing right here going in the trash. So this is a 1999 P30 chassis, and I do not think this is the factory gas tank. The factory gas tank is a thinner gauge like a normal passenger car or truck. So on the P30, there can be a lot of questions about the sending unit. I'm going to tell you right now, you just want to go ahead and match your plugs. Don't worry about anything else. If you look them up, there's 7 or 8 different ones, who knows. It's really all about the depth of your tank. So this has a depth of 13 inches, and this thing changes size to fit many tanks. So these more expensive parts, I try to buy them off Rock Auto, but in this case I chose to get it locally at O'Reilly because there was too much of a risk of possibly getting the wrong one. And if you're doing one of these, you already know what I'm talking about. So they had the actual Delphi for $200 on Rock Auto. It's kind of sad I couldn't get it. This brand right here was $242. You got to be super careful at O'Reilly and AutoZone. This one has a lifetime warranty, so be super careful. Go ahead and pay the extra money for the lifetime warranty. You will not regret it. So this is a bit interesting. Whenever we looked this pump up, it had the old plug in the picture, and we just looked at this yesterday at the store, and today I'm getting the one with the plug like this. So I'm guessing they're all like that. You just have to switch the plug over. We will show that. I've done it before. It actually isn't that bad because it's going to make your little pigtail longer. So let's get that super clear. Even if the picture of the new one shows that plug like this one did, you most likely are going to end up getting the newer plug. This is beautiful right here. Let's get this out of there. Comes with a new gasket. Make sure you get that gasket. So whenever I dropped this tank, I still had 12 gallons of gas in it. Super difficult to get it out, but you can see inside of this tank actually looks very good. So that's our ground. You want to clean that off really good. This was our vent for our fill neck. And by the way, if you're going to leave your tank out overnight, you always cover everything up, because the moisture, if you have it in your air, will go inside your gas tank and cause problems. This one had a little check valve in there. I took it out so I could drain it. Oh, come on. So go ahead and get you some kind of grease. Make sure everything's there. There's one sock at the bottom, and there's another sock inside there somewhere. Everything looks good. So on this one, we're gonna try to put the gasket in here first, on here. Okay, make sure you put some grease on there. This thing can rip the seal or give problems. You're gonna hover it straight up and down. See, it bottoms out, so it is the right size for this tank. There's only one position it can go in, clocked, and just practice squishing it down. All right, we were able to push it all the way in with my hands. If it's being difficult, get a hammer handle or a piece of wood or something and just distribute the weight evenly. If you have to force it down, this one, like I said, went in there real easy. I'm gonna try to get the snap ring back in. All right. I was able to go under the vehicle and unplug this from the harness, and here is the old plug that went right here. So one thing is, you're gonna have to get your old pump and your new pump and look at the wires that way. The next problem is that how do you know which prong is gonna do what? Two of these wires are for your fuel pump, and then two wires are for your sending unit. So the little ones are for the sending unit, but how do we know which ones they are up here? I know you can see the colors, we can all read that. It can tell you that it can hook up different ways, but how do you know for a fact? So don't overcomplicate this. The way you do it is focus on one circuit at a time. Let's do the main one, the fuel pump first. So we're gonna check the gray fuel pump wire first. Let's try to find out which one it is. That one. And we know that both of these are for our fuel pump. Same thing on the old one. So let's go ahead and cut this off. Go ahead and cut it right there, because we don't need this plug at all anymore. Okay, so if you're new at this, only cut one wire at a time. We're gonna go and do gray first. All right, real good crimpers. So on this one it's tricky because both of our black wires don't have a stripe on them. So we have to figure out which one's which. So the left is our gray fuel pump wire, and it's gonna have a ground under it. But on that pump back there, the ground to the fuel pump is on the right side. So if we flip it over, we have two grounds. So we're gonna use the one just like the plug on the right side, two at the bottom. So we're gonna use that one, but figure yours out. This is the hardest part of the whole job. Once you got your fuel pump wired, the other two are common sense. Okay, and you have to familiarize yourself 100% with these four wires. And you have to tell me right off the top of your head, where is that black wire coming out and where is that gray wire? Until you can do that, then you really don't need to be wiring this up, because you can screw it all up and stuff ain't gonna work. We only have two wires left, and they can only go in one place. All right, we have everything looking good. Wrap it up. I'm gonna slide this thing all the way back under there and get it set up on that transmission jack. So thank God this giant P30 is high above the ground. I'm actually sitting Indian style. I just want to show you the procedure. I'm not going to show any of this. It's very frustrating. We will show hooking everything up, but I just want you to see the plug. We have plenty of room now to connect it way back over here. This tank right here has to be put in at an angle to clear the line through there. It's very difficult, but I just want you to see that, look, one-handed, I can pick this tank up with no gas in it. And I'm even gonna do this one-handed, look, with my foot, slide the jack under there until I get it up on the jack. All right, so you can see how I have the jack under the front. It only took me 2 or 3 minutes to get it in place. So I took this line back off. We're gonna have to watch it as we feed it through there. Hopefully we can get it. It has to go through the frame. All right, so we have our main fuel line, our evap line, our vent line, and our fuel return. These two came off very easy. This one took me about an hour screwing with it, and it turned out the little quick disconnect was messed up. I had to pull it out, straighten it up, and you need to make 100% sure that these click on and they don't pull out, because when it gets pressure, it's gonna shoot out, and then you gotta do this all over again. So we need to check those, look for anything else in here. We have this line. This is a 3/8 fuel line that goes to the generator on this truck. It literally pulls it out of this tank. The generator has its own fuel pump. We'll look at that in another video, so subscribe if you want to see some cool stuff. We're gonna go ahead and cut this screwed up end off. I should be replacing that line, but it is all in there, all crazy. Let's test these lines. Hopefully this thing will lock. Let's listen to it. Okay, thank you. And then make sure it's not gonna pull off. We heard it snap. If it snapped like that, it's good. Listen for this. I don't think this one snaps. Little snap. Fuel return. Everything looks good. Ooh, this one's too far. Alrighty. I ended up having to cut a lot more off that fuel line. It was all screwed up. Hopefully it'll reach. I'm not going to show wrestling this thing back in there. Look, I can pick the whole side up one-handed, holding the phone. It's not that heavy. The problem is we got to fish it in at an angle to clear those lines, because when you put it in there, it's going to sit right there on that frame rail. All right, so I'm laying down, transmission jack, get you a big ratchet in there, and you see why this is so awesome. So I know you can't see all of this, but we only have about a 5-inch window right here, and we have to reach all the way down on this tank and connect that line right there. So just make sure it's on there. Everything's looking good. Now you're just going to kind of line the straps up where they used to be. This is not hard at all. So maybe it's not that hard when the tank is empty. When that tank was full, this was very difficult to do. I'm just doing this one-handed. You can see I'm just playing with it, seeing how I'm going to do this, and then we're slowly lining the nylon straps up with their marks, so our tank's aligned. These are 1/4-inch thick steel straps. Just hang one side, and we're jacking the tank up, and it'll just go in place. If you look up there, it has some straps on the top, and you just line the marks up. As you can see, our nylon straps, everything is just going back the way it came off. So I'm laying on the ground looking up at it. So the most difficult part of the reinstall was getting this line back on there through the frame. It actually is squished, so it never fit perfect. That was just the hardest part. It did require a lot of hand strength, a super amount of hand strength, and then you have to bend it back over that one. So this right here is going to kick your butt putting it back on. Other than that, all that stuff's back on there. Our ground cleaned it off and reconnected. So all we have left to do is just finish putting the straps on, and that's it. Whenever you change a fuel pump, you want to go ahead and change the fuel filter at the same time. This one's in a very weird cramped place. It had a bracket on it. Just get that out, replace it. Just make sure you put it in the right direction. Out means towards the engine. Oh my God, 3 minutes later, brand new fuel filter in there, beautiful. I went ahead and put the old gas back in it. You kind of don't want to do that, but I know I put 5 gallons of fresh gas, so hopefully it'll work. See how I look right now? This is how you look when you work on cars. See all these channels, all these people look like they just got out of the shower, just got back from the barber, talking about being a car enthusiast and they do all their own work. They don't do shit. They don't work on their own cars, okay? This is how you look when you actually work on cars, when you actually do the work. You're all dirty, you're all nasty, you're all sweaty.
Today we're going to show you how to change a fuel pump. And all we're going to use is basic hand tools. Let's get started, guys.
And sorry I get to rant a little bit. I just spent about 8 hours in 100-degree weather, sweating my butt off here in Houston, Texas. Let's hook that battery back up. We got the battery hooked back up. Moment of truth. I went ahead and hooked everything back up. We were doing a troubleshooting video. Go watch that if you have one that won't start, because this one wouldn't start. Just bought it less than a week ago. We still have the fuel pump relay bypass. Let's go ahead and put the relay back in. Relay's back in. This one's weird. It doesn't have a part because the pawl on the transmission, PAWL, is not enough to hold the weight of this vehicle, so it has a drum driveline brake, which is very weird. I've never driven one of these. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. There's no park. Pretty sure we just leave it in neutral. Handbrake's on. First time, will it start on its own power? Oh my goodness. Oh my God. That is insane. So it does have this kind of a noise, but it sounds like it's coming from the front, like the brackets, the aluminum brackets, the tensioner pulley, something up there is clacking a little bit, but it's not coming from the engine. So we got the engine running, but is it gonna die when we go into gear? So I've never even put it in gear yet. Let's see. Okay, it went in gear. Hopefully the transmission's good, I don't know. See it idle up. See if reverse is good. That's a very good sign. All right. So it's not dying in gear. So that's good. It does not sound like a rod, but I really don't even care right now. I just need this thing to drive around the yard. And if it needs a new engine later, that's fine. I'll do that because at least I know it'll have a new engine. And I'm not scared to rebuild those in any way. Just a little preview of what I bought. It's a X Snap-on truck. Let's listen to the sound of the exhaust. I freaking love that. It's got a giant muffler on it. And that's all you can hear. This thing also came with this generator right here that hopefully it'll run. I'm very excited about it. Another reason why I bought this thing. All right, it's a damn lifter. I can hear it. It's a loose lifter. If it was a rod, it would stay consistent with the rev of the engine. So I hope it is. I don't know. So this is an 18-foot fully insulated Snap-on truck. It feels like a little room in here. And I bought this so I can put all my tools and stuff that's in my garage right now, because I got to tear it down to finish the house and then start my shop. I can't start my shop until I finish my house. And that's why I bought this giant thing. This thing is freaking huge. This thing has climate control. It has alarms, all kinds of weird stuff on it. It's actually very cool. So as soon as I get it moving around, we're gonna clean it all out. Then we'll do a video of a tour of it. Some people love these things, some people hate them. Everybody that I have shown pictures of this thing so far absolutely freaking love it. Love it. All right, well, there you go. We changed the fuel pump in this thing. You can totally do it. The lesson in this video is make sure you get all the gas out of the tank, and that job's gonna be so much easier. We went from a vehicle that cost $400 to tow it, and that fuel pump was $242, lifetime warranty. You see what happened there? We're running. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See if the horn works.